The large screen in the Earth Defense Command Center showed a starry sky with a new unwelcome visitor. Admiral William Hayes stood with his hands behind his back, watching the alien ship that had appeared near the moon. It was huge and black, with strange glowing parts much bigger than anything humans had built in space. "Sir, the unknown ship is sending a message on all radio channels," said Lisa Carter, who worked at the communications desk. Her fingers moved quickly over the glowing controls. "Let us hear it," Hayes said. He fixed his uniform and stood tall. Around him, military leaders and government officials waited nervously for humanity's first meeting with aliens. The message played clearly through the room's speakers. A deep, cold voice spoke perfect English. "People of Earth, we are the Kraathic Dominion. We have studied your species and found you unworthy. You will give up all your resources, your lands, and accept that many of your people must die. Fighting back is useless and will only end with all humans dead. You have 12 Earth hours to agree." The room fell silent after the message ended. Alan Rodriguez, the head science officer, walked up with a tablet showing readings from their sensors. "Admiral, their technology is hundreds of years ahead of ours," he said quietly. "Our scanners show weapons that could break the Earth's crust." "President." Eleanor Winters had been watching quietly from the side. Now she spoke up. "Do they really think we will just give up, after everything humans have survived to get here?" Hayes turned to face the gathered leaders from Earth's nations and the colonies on Mars and the Moon. "We've been preparing for this possibility for 100 years, ever since we found the alien ruins on Mars. Project Firestorm was created exactly for this situation. But we haven't tested it fully," said General Frank Martinez, his face worried. "Our fleet isn't ready, and only half of our space weapons are working properly." President Winters' voice cut through the growing fear in the room. "Humanity didn't survive plagues, climate disasters, and wars between nations just to hand our world over to the first bullies who show up. Admiral Hayes, start the Firestorm protocol. The aliens gave us 12 hours. I want our answer ready. In 10. The command center burst into activity. People rushed to computer stations, made calls, and prepared Earth's hidden defenses. Hayes watched the organized chaos with a mix of pride and worry. He thought about his young grandchildren sleeping safely in their beds. They had no idea that the fate of all humans would be decided before they woke up tomorrow. The Kraathic had demanded Earth's surrender, expecting humans to bow down in fear. They would soon learn what many enemies throughout human history had discovered. When cornered with no way out, humans fight the hardest. Back on the alien ship, Supreme Commander Drakal watched the blue planet on his view screen. His hard outer shell gleamed under the ship's lights, and his 4 arms worked different control panels at once. "The humans will surrender," he said to his second-in-command. "They always do." Sub-Commander Vexton wasn't so sure. "Sir, our information about Earth might not be complete. The energy readings from the planet show some strange patterns." "It doesn't matter," Drakal said. "We have conquered 17 worlds before this one. Each one thought they were special. Each one fell." He turned his large insect-like eyes toward his officer. "Prepare the harvest ships. Once they surrender, we start taking their resources immediately." "And if they don't surrender?" asked Vexton Drakal, made a clicking sound that passed for laughter among his kind. "Then we make an example of them. The architects demand new worlds, and we will provide them." Deep under the Pacific Ocean, inside a secret base built into the Mariana Trench, Colonel Samantha Richards watched as Earth's greatest secret weapon powered up. For 30 years, the world's smartest scientists had studied and copied technology found in the alien ruins on Mars, leftovers from an ancient battle fought thousands of years ago. "Status report," she called out to the busy room filled with scientists and military personnel. "The quantum network is at 98% power," reported Dr. Henry Wilson, the lead scientist. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, but excitement filled his voice. "All 7 hidden bases report that the Firestorm array is ready." Richards nodded. "Begin final preparation. Authorization code Richards Alpha 7 Epsilon." Around the solar system, hidden machines started working. On the far side of the moon, under the red dirt of Mars, in the thick clouds of Venus, and among the asteroids, humanity's true defenses woke up. The aliens had no idea these weapons existed, carefully hidden from any watching eyes. In Earth's orbit, Commander Greg Mitchell flew what looked like an unarmed shuttle toward the alien ship. Beside him sat Medical Officer Diane Nelson, looking nervous. "This is crazy," she whispered. "We're bringing surrender terms directly to aliens who want to kill us all." Mitchell kept his face calm as he controlled the ship. "That's what they're supposed to think." Inside his pocket was a small device, the real reason for their mission. It looked like a normal computer tablet that would hold Earth's surrender agreement, but its true purpose was far different. President Winters stood in the underground command center, carved deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Screens showed the small human shuttle approaching the massive alien ship. "Are all civilians being moved to the shelters?" she asked. "Yes, Madam President," replied her Chief of Staff, Peter Johnson. "We're telling people it's just a drill to prevent panic." The space colonies on Mars and the Moon have also been notified to prepare their emergency plans. Winters watched the screen with steady eyes. She had been elected to lead Earth through normal times of peace. Instead, she now faced the greatest threat in human history. "If we fail today, make sure the colony ships are ready," she said quietly. "Humanity must survive, even if Earth falls." Johnson nodded grimly. "The Artemis and Odysseus colony ships can carry 10,000 people each to the outer solar system. But let's hope it doesn't come to that." President Winters touched the old paper photo she kept in her pocket, a picture of her grandfather who had helped design the first Mars base. "They think we're just another easy conquest," she said. "They have no idea what humans can do when our backs are against the wall." The final pieces of Earth's defense plan were moving into place. The aliens had demanded surrender. Earth's answer would soon light up the sky with fire. The alien ship allowed the small human shuttle to enter through a glowing opening in its side. Commander Greg Mitchell guided the craft into the huge docking area where several strange insect-like ships sat in rows. As the shuttle landed, he turned to his team. "Remember the plan," he said quietly. "Act scared and defeated. Let them think we're just bringing surrender papers." Medical Officer Diane Nelson nodded, but her hands shook slightly. "I never thought my first meeting with aliens would be like this." Security Officer Eric Garcia checked his hidden weapon one last time. On the surface, he looked like an unarmed diplomat, but special technology kept his true equipment invisible to the alien scanners. "If these bugs want Earth, they'll have to pay for it." The shuttle door opened with a soft hiss. Standing outside were 4 tall insect-like aliens with hard outer shells and multiple arms. Each one stood over 7 feet tall, with compound eyes that reflected the shuttle's lights. Their weapons looked like they had grown naturally from their arms. "Follow," one of them clicked in rough English. "Supreme Commander waits." The human team stepped out, carrying what looked like simple computer tablets. To any normal scan, they appeared harmless, but appearances could be very deceiving. In the Mariana Trench Base, Colonel Richards watched through a secure camera feed hidden in Commander Mitchell's uniform. The signal bounced through hidden relays to avoid alien detection. "The strike team is inside," she reported to President Winters, whose face appeared on a side screen. "Phase 1 is underway." "What's our window?" the president asked. "The quantum beacon will activate in exactly 43 minutes, Dr. Wilson replied, checking his instruments. "Once it does, the aliens' shields will fail for approximately 15 minutes before their systems can adapt." Richards nodded. "That's our only chance. If Mitchell's team can't plant the device in that time..." She didn't need to finish the sentence. Everyone knew what failure meant. Aboard the massive alien vessel, Supreme Commander Drakal waited in the command center. The room was hot and humid, comfortable for the insect-like Kra'athic, but making the humans sweat as they were led inside. "So, these are the representatives of Earth," Drakal said, his voice translated by a device on his chest. "I expected them to wait the full 12 hours before surrendering." The 3 humans stood before him, looking appropriately small and afraid. The leader, Commander Mitchell, stepped forward with his tablet. "Supreme Commander, I bring a message from Earth's leadership," he said with just the right amount of fear in his voice. Drakal's mandibles clicked in what might have been a smile. Your quick surrender will make the harvesting process more efficient. Fewer humans will need to be processed. Mitchell swallowed hard, playing his part perfectly. We understand. If I may present our formal response. The alien commander waved one of his 4 arms dismissively. Proceed. Mitchell activated the tablet. Instead of text, a hologram appeared showing President Winters sitting at her desk. Her face showed no fear. To the Kraathic Dominion, the recording began. We have considered your demand for Earth's surrender. Drakal leaned forward, eager to hear the human leader admit defeat. The hologram continued. Throughout human history, would-be conquerors have demanded others kneel before them, each time they discover something important about us. The alien commander's compound eyes narrowed. This didn't sound like a surrender speech. President Winters' hologram smiled slightly. Humans don't surrender to bullies. We fight. You have gravely misjudged our species and our willingness to defend our home. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the alien ship. Drakal jumped up from his seat. What is happening? He roared. Mitchell's tablet began to glow and emit a high-pitched sound. The human team's appearance changed as their diplomatic clothes shimmered and transformed into combat suits, their true purpose now revealed. We brought Earth's answer, Mitchell said, his voice no longer fearful. And it isn't surrender. Across the solar system, hidden weapons platforms emerged from their concealment. On the far side of the moon, enormous cannons rose from the dust. In Earth's orbit, what looked like normal satellites suddenly changed shape, revealing powerful weapons. In Nine, the Mariana base, Colonel Richards gave the command. Activate the Firestorm array. All units engage. The technology humanity had secretly reverse-engineered from the Mars ruins came to life. A special kind of energy, one that bypassed normal space, struck the alien vessel from 7 different points in the solar system at once. Their advanced shields, which could stop any normal attack, suddenly failed as the quantum beacon in Mitchell's tablet created a hole in their defenses. Shields are down, yelled Sub-Commander Vexton as control panels exploded around him. Unknown energy signature is disrupting all systems. Drakal turned to the humans, who were now clearly not helpless diplomats but a strike team in advanced armor. Kill them, he ordered his guards. But as the alien guards raised their weapons, Garcia activated another device. A pulse of energy knocked the insect-like soldiers off their feet. Move out, Mitchell ordered his team. We have 14 minutes to reach the main engine room. The humans ran from the command center, following the path they had memorized from the scans. Their real mission was just beginning. In cities around Earth, people watched the sky in fear and wonder. The fight for humanity's survival was happening, right above them. Some saw flashes of light as weapons fired. Others saw pieces of the alien ship breaking apart as Earth's hidden weapons hit their target. 8-year-old Bobby Johnson stood with his parents on their back porch in Kansas, watching the light show in the night sky. Dad, are those shooting stars? He asked. His father, who had received an emergency alert on his phone, put an arm around his son's shoulders. Something like that, buddy. Something like that. Inside the alien ship, Mitchell's team fought their way through narrow corridors. Alien defenders tried to stop them, but the humans' special armor and weapons, all based on the Mars ruins technology, gave them an edge. 4 minutes until we reached the target, Mitchell said as they ran. Nelson, status of the beacon? Diane Nelson checked the readings on her wrist display. The quantum disruption is holding, but we're losing it faster than expected. We have maybe 10 minutes before their shields come back online. Garcia took point position, his weapon ready as they approached a sealed door. That's cutting it close. Mitchell nodded grimly. Then we'd better not waste time. He placed an explosive charge on the door. The plan was simple but dangerous. Reach the alien ship's main engine, plant their special bomb, and get out before it detonated. The explosion would disable the ship without destroying it. Humanity wanted the alien technology intact if possible. The door blew open. They came face to face with a group of armed Kraathic soldiers. Cover! Mitchell yelled as alien weapons fire filled the corridor with deadly energy. The battle for Earth had moved from diplomacy to all-out war. On the bridge, Supreme Commander Drakal watched in rage as his ship took damage from weapons that shouldn't exist according to their intelligence about Earth. "Prepare the planet killer," he ordered. "If we cannot harvest this world, we will make an example of it for the others." The Kraathic had demanded surrender. Earth had chosen to fight. And now both sides would learn just how far the other was willing to go. Energy blasts filled the narrow corridor as the human strike team took cover behind fallen pieces of the alien ship. The insect-like Kraathic soldiers fired strange weapons that made the air sizzle and burn. "We need to move forward." "Commander," Mitchell shouted over the noise. "We have less than 8 minutes to reach the engine room." Eric Garcia nodded and pulled a small silver ball from his belt. "Cover your eyes," he warned his teammates. He tossed the device toward the aliens. It exploded in a flash of blinding light. Another piece of technology humans had developed from the Mars ruins. The Kraathic soldiers screeched in pain as the light overloaded their compound eyes. "Now!" Mitchell ordered, and the team rushed forward, moving past the blinded aliens. Diane Nelson checked her scanner as they ran. 2 more levels down and 3 corridors east, she reported. "We're still on track." As they turned a corner, they nearly bumped into a massive Kraathic warrior, almost 9 feet tall with heavy armor covering its exoskeleton. Before the humans could react, it swung a large weapon, hitting Garcia and sending him flying into a wall. Mitchell and Nelson fired together, their weapons finally breaking through the warrior's armor after several hits. The alien fell, but Garcia lay motionless where he had landed. Nelson rushed to check on him while Mitchell kept watch. She looked up with sad eyes. "He's gone," she said quietly. His neck broke from the impact. Mitchell's jaw tightened. "We continue the mission." Eric knew the risks. He helped Nelson up. "We have 6 minutes left." On Earth, the battle raged in the sky. The alien ship, though wounded by Earth's surprise attack, fought back with powerful weapons. One blast hit a major city in China, destroying several blocks and killing thousands instantly. Colonel Richards watched the destruction on the screens in the Mariana base, her face pale but determined. "Status of the strike team?" she asked. "They're still moving toward the target," a communications officer reported, "but we've lost contact with Garcia." Richards nodded grimly. "And the quantum disruption?" Dr. Wilson checked his instruments. "Holding, but fading faster than expected. The Kraathic are adapting to our technology. The team has maybe 5 minutes before the alien shields come back online." "Alert Admiral Finley," Richards ordered. "Tell him to prepare the backup plan." Deep in the outer solar system, hidden among the icy bodies beyond Neptune, a fleet of Earth ships powered up their engines. These vessels had been built in secret over decades, using technology from the Mars ruins. Admiral Charles Finley stood on the bridge of the lead ship, named Defiance. "All ships report ready status," his first officer said. Finley nodded. "Begin approach. Maximum speed." He turned to his weapons officer. "And prepare all weapons. If Mitchell's team fails, we're Earth's last hope. 20 ships, each armed with weapons that most people on Earth didn't even know existed, began their journey toward the inner solar system. It would take them hours to arrive, hopefully not too late. Inside the alien vessel, Mitchell and Nelson finally reached the main engine room. The massive chamber hummed with strange energy as huge machines powered the ship. "This is it," Mitchell said, pulling out a cylinder-shaped device from his backpack. "The quantum bomb. Once planted, we'll have 3 minutes to get back to our shuttle." Nelson was setting up the device when her scanner beeped an alarm. "Commander," she said, her voice tight with worry, "I'm detecting a massive energy buildup in the front section of the ship. They're powering up some kind of superweapon." Mitchell checked his own scanner and frowned. "The planet killer. They're going to try to destroy Earth rather than admit defeat." He looked at the engine and then at their bomb. "Change of plans, we need to stop that weapon first. But we don't have time for both targets," Nelson protested. The quantum disruption will fail in less than 4 minutes. Once their shields are back up, our shuttle can't escape. Mitchell thought quickly. I'll take the bomb to the weapon system. You get back to the shuttle and be ready to launch the moment I give the signal. Nelson shook her head. That's a suicide mission. You'll never make it back in time. Someone has to stop that weapon, Mitchell said firmly. That's an order, Officer Nelson. Get to the shuttle. After a moment of hesitation, Nelson nodded. Yes, sir. Before turning to leave, she put her hand on his shoulder. Good luck, Greg. Mitchell picked up the bomb and checked his map. 3 minutes to save the world, he muttered to himself. No pressure. On the bridge of the alien ship, Supreme Commander Drackle watched as his crew prepared the planet-killer weapon. His ship was damaged, and many systems were failing, but this one weapon could still end the fight. Energy levels at 70% and rising, reported an officer. Target lock on Earth's northern hemisphere. Excellent, Drackle said. The humans will learn the price of defiance. Once their major cities are destroyed, the survivors will beg to surrender. Sub-Commander Vexton approached. Cautiously, Supreme Commander, our internal sensors show an intruder heading toward the weapon control room. Drakal's compound eyes narrowed with anger. Stop them. Send all available warriors to protect the planet killer. President Winters watched from the underground command center as the alien ship moved into position above North America. Military advisors had just informed her that the ship appeared to be aiming a weapon of unknown power toward Earth. Evacuation. Status? She asked, keeping her voice steady despite the fear she felt. Major cities are at 60% evacuation to the deep shelters, her chief of staff reported, but there's no way to get everyone to safety in time. The president stood straight, facing the screens showing the alien ship. Send a message to the colony ships. If Earth falls, they must continue. Humanity will survive even if we don't. An officer monitoring communications suddenly called out, Madam President, we have a transmission from Commander Mitchell. Mitchell ran through the alien ship, fighting his way past guards. He was bleeding from a wound in his side where an alien weapon had grazed him, but he kept moving. The bomb felt heavy in his arms. He finally reached a large door that his scanner identified as the weapon control room. It was sealed and guarded by 3 large Kraothic warriors. Mitchell knew he couldn't defeat them all in a direct fight. Instead, he used his last flash grenade, temporarily blinding them. Then he placed a small explosive on the door and took cover. The blast blew the door open. Inside, alien technicians worked at control panels surrounding a glowing sphere of energy, the heart of the planet-killer weapon. Mitchell rushed in, firing his weapon to clear a path. He reached the main control panel and placed the bomb directly against the glowing sphere. With shaking hands, he set the timer for 60 seconds, just enough time to send a message but not enough time to escape. He activated his communication device. Mitchell to Earth Command. Planet killer targeted, quantum bomb in place, detonation in 50 seconds. President Winters' voice came through his earpiece. Commander, we can't extract you in time. Mitchell smiled sadly. I know, Madam President. Tell my brother to take care of my dog. He looked at the timer counting down. And tell Earth, it was an honor to serve. As alien soldiers stormed into the room, Mitchell stood tall, facing them. The quantum bomb's timer reached 0, and a brilliant white light filled the chamber. The explosion was precisely targeted. Instead of destroying the entire ship, it caused the planet-killer weapon to implode, sending its enormous energy back into the alien vessel. From Earth, people watched as a blinding flash lit up the night sky. The alien ship broke apart, large, pieces burning as they entered the atmosphere. Earth had answered the demand for surrender with fire, but the war was far from over. Cheers erupted in the Earth Defense Command Center as the alien ship exploded. People hugged each other, some with tears in their eyes. Their impossible victory brought a moment of joy. President Winters did not join the celebration. She stood, quietly, watching the burning pieces of the alien ship fall through Earth's atmosphere. Commander Mitchell and Officer Garcia gave their lives. she said softly. Let's make sure their sacrifice wasn't wasted. Colonel Richards approached with a tablet showing new information. Madam President, we've analyzed the data Officer Nelson brought back from the alien ship. There's something you need to see. The room grew quiet as Richards displayed the information on the main screen. The Kraathic ship sent a message before. It was destroyed. More ships are coming, at least 5 of them, all bigger than the first one. The brief celebration ended instantly. General Martinez stepped forward. How long do we have? 3 days, Richards answered. Maybe less. President Winters looked at the tired faces around her. They had won an important battle, but the war was just beginning. The Kraathic will be angry now. They won't underestimate us again. At least we know our weapons work against them, Martinez said. Dr. Wilson shook his head. They'll adapt their shields. The quantum disruption won't work. Twice. They'll be ready for it next time. Winters straightened her shoulders. Then we need to be ready too. What's the status of Admiral Finley's fleet? They're on their way from the outer solar system, Richards reported. But they won't arrive for at least 18 hours. The president nodded. That gives us time to prepare. Dr. Wilson, work with Officer Nelson. Learn everything you can from the data she collected. General Martinez, I want all defense systems at full power. And someone find me the best pilot we have. I have a special mission in mind. Diane Nelson sat alone in the medical bay, staring at the wall. Her arm was bandaged where an alien weapon had burned her, but the physical pain was nothing compared to what she felt inside. She had lost 2 teammates, 2 friends, in the mission. A doctor approached her. Officer Nelson, the president wants to see you. Nelson followed the doctor to a small meeting room. President Winters waited there with Dr. Wilson and a young man in a pilot's uniform. Officer Nelson, the president said. First, let me thank you for your courage. Your team saved Earth today. Nelson nodded silently. But we need your help again, Winters continued. The data you brought back shows more Kraathic ships coming. Dr. Wilson thinks there's a way to strengthen our defenses, but we need more information. Dr. Wilson explained. Among the wreckage of the alien ship, there should be intact pieces of their shield technology. If we can recover those parts, we might find a new way to penetrate their defenses. The young pilot stepped forward. That's where I come in. I'm Captain Joe Bell, the best salvage pilot on Earth. I'll fly into the debris field and recover what we need, but I need someone who knows what to look for. Nelson understood immediately. You want me to go with him? President Winters nodded. You're the only one who's been on their ship and survived. You know their technology better than anyone. Nelson thought about Mitchell and Garcia, about their sacrifice. When do we leave? 3 hours later, Nelson and Bell flew a small, agile ship through the debris field that orbited Earth. Pieces of the destroyed Kraathic vessel floated everywhere, some as small as a coin, others as large as a house. What exactly are we looking for? Bell asked as he carefully maneuvered between 2 large chunks of alien metal. Nelson checked her scanner. Their shield generators would be hexagonal in shape, with a glowing blue core, about the size of a car. Bell whistled. Needle in a haystack. A very dangerous haystack, Nelson added. Some of this debris might still be active. As if to prove her point, a nearby piece of wreckage suddenly lit up with strange energy. Bell quickly steered away from it. Let's try the larger section over there, Nelson suggested, pointing to a massive piece of the ship that had stayed mostly intact. Bell guided their ship closer. I'll need to match its rotation so we can dock with it. He expertly aligned their craft with the spinning debris and extended a docking tube. Okay, we're secure. But we have only 30 minutes of oxygen in our suits, so let's be quick. They put on their spacesuits and entered the wreckage. Inside, broken alien technology floated in the zero gravity. Dead Kraathic bodies drifted among the debris, their compound eyes staring blankly. Nelson tried not to look at them as she checked her scanner. This way, she said, pointing down a half-destroyed corridor. They moved carefully through the ruined ship until they reached what had once been an engineering section. There, partially crushed but still intact, was a hexagonal device with a faintly glowing blue core. That's it, Nelson said excitedly. The shield generator. Bell examined it. It's attached to the wall. I'll need to cut it free. As he worked, Nelson noticed something strange in a nearby compartment. She pushed aside some debris and found a container filled with data crystals, the alien equivalent of computer hard drives. Captain Bell, I found something else. This might contain valuable information. Bell finished freeing the shield generator. Grab it, we've got 10 minutes of oxygen left. Just as they secured both items, the entire section shuddered violently. What was that? Nelson asked. Bell checked a device on his wrist. This whole section is becoming unstable. The orbit is decaying. It's starting to fall into Earth's atmosphere. We need to get out now, Nelson said. They hurried back toward their ship, carrying their precious cargo. The wreckage shook harder as they reached the docking tube. It's coming apart, Bell shouted as a piece of the ceiling broke free and nearly hit them. They scrambled into their ship. Bell quickly disconnected from the debris and fired the engines to move away. Behind them, the large section of wreckage began to glow red as it entered Earth's atmosphere. That was close, Nelson breathed as they watched the piece burn up. Too close, Bell grinned. But we got what we came for. Back at the Mariana Base, Dr. Wilson examined the shield generator and data crystals with excitement. This is incredible, he told President Winters. The shield technology is even more advanced than we thought, but it has a weakness we can exploit. And the data crystals contain detailed information about the Kraathic fleet, including their communication codes. Winters looked hopeful for the first time since learning about the approaching ships. Can we use this to defend Earth? Wilson nodded. If we work fast, yes. We can modify our weapons to bypass their shields. And with their communication codes, we might even be able to disrupt their coordination. How long will it take? Richards asked. 24 hours to implement the shield modifications, Wilson calculated. Another 12 to decode and create countermeasures for their communications. Winters frowned. The Kraathic ships will be here in less than 72 hours. That doesn't leave much margin for error. There's something else, Nelson said, stepping forward. The data crystals contain information about other worlds the Kraathic have conquered. 17 planets, all with intelligent life. We're not their first target, and we won't be their last. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. But there's hope, Nelson continued. They've never faced resistance like ours. Most planets surrendered immediately or were destroyed, trying to fight with conventional weapons. We're the first to use quantum technology against them. President Winters stood tall, her decision made. Then we'll be the first to defeat them. Not just for Earth, but for all the worlds they've conquered. Admiral Finley's fleet will be here in 14 hours. When the Kraathic arrive, we'll be ready. Earth had won the first battle, now they prepared for the war. Admiral Finley stood on the bridge of his ship, the Defiance, as it approached Earth after the long journey from the outer solar system. His fleet of 20 ships spread out behind him, their advanced engines glowing against the blackness of space. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from Earth Defense Command, his communications officer reported. Put it through, Finley ordered. President Winters appeared on the main screen. Admiral, welcome home. I wish it could be under better circumstances. Finley nodded. My fleet is ready for action, Madam President. What's the situation? We expect 5 Kraathic ships to arrive within 48 hours, she explained. Thanks. To Officer Nelson and Dr. Wilson, we have new information about their technology and weaknesses. I'm sending the data to you now. Finley reviewed the information on a side screen. His eyes widened. This is impressive work. We can modify our weapons to exploit these weaknesses. That's what we're counting on, Winters said. But there's more. The Kraathic aren't the real enemy. They serve a higher power called the Architects. They've conquered 17 other worlds, and they don't plan to stop with Earth. Finley's expression hardened. Then it's time someone stopped them. In the Mariana base, Dr. Wilson worked with his team to modify Earth's defense systems. Nelson watched as scientists and engineers implemented the changes based on the alien technology they had recovered. Will it be enough? She asked Wilson. He looked tired but determined. It has to be. The shield modifications are complete and we've successfully decoded their communication protocols. We can disrupt their coordination when they arrive. Colonel, Richards entered the lab with new information. Long-range sensors have detected the Kraathic fleet. They'll be here in 24 hours, sooner than we expected. Wilson looked worried. We need more time. We don't have more time, Richards said firmly. We need to finish now. Nelson thought for a moment. What if we could slow them down? The data crystals contain their standard approach patterns. If we set up mines along their expected route. Richards nodded. That might work. I'll talk to Admiral Finley. 12 hours later, Earth was as ready as it could be. President Winters addressed the world from her office. Citizens of Earth, she began, her face calm despite the danger. Within the next day, our planet will face its greatest challenge. 5 alien warships approach with the intention of conquering or destroying our world. She paused, her eyes steady. I will not lie to you. The coming battle will be difficult. Some of us may not survive. But humanity has faced extinction before and prevailed. We survived natural disasters, plagues, and our own wars. Now we face an external threat, and we will meet it with the same courage and determination that has defined our species throughout history. Across the world, people gathered around screens to watch her speech. In homes, shelters, and military bases, humans of all nations stood united against the common threat. Today, we fight not just for Earth, but for all worlds that have fallen to these conquerors. Today, we declare that freedom is the right of all intelligent beings. The Kraathic demanded our surrender. Instead, they will face our defiance. In space, Admiral Finley's fleet positioned themselves in a defensive formation around Earth. They had laid mines along the expected approach route of the Kraathic ships, hoping to slow the aliens down and damage them before the main battle. All ships report ready, Admiral, his first officer said. Finley nodded. Begin Operation Firestorm. May God help us all. The waiting was the hardest part. Hours passed as Earth's defenders watched their sensors for signs of the enemy. Finally, the alert sounded. Contact, called the sensor officer. 5 Kraathic warships detected at the edge of the solar system. On the main screen, they watched as the massive alien vessels approached. Each one was 3 times the size of the first ship Earth had destroyed. Their black hulls seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They've detected the minefield, the tactical officer reported. They're adjusting course. Finley smiled slightly. Just as we hoped. Activate the trigger sequence. The mines didn't just explode. They released the same quantum energy that had disabled the first Kraathic ship's shields. The aliens, expecting normal explosives, were caught by surprise as their shields fluctuated. Now, Finley ordered. All ships. Attack formation Delta. Target the lead vessel. The Earth fleet moved with precision, focusing their fire on one alien ship at a time. Their modified weapons, designed to exploit the weaknesses in Kraathic shields, caused more damage than should have been possible. But the aliens fought back hard. 2 human ships exploded under concentrated fire. Earth's orbital defenses took heavy damage as the alien vessels launched devastating attacks. In New York City, people watched from emergency shelters as pieces of destroyed ships fell through the atmosphere, creating streaks of light across the sky. Buildings shook from near impacts. 8-year-old Amy Wilson held her mother's hand tightly. Are we going to be okay, Mom? Her mother pulled her closer. Yes, sweetie. Our soldiers are fighting to protect us. Amy looked up at the fiery sky. I want to be a soldier when I grow up. The battle raged for hours. 3 Kraathic ships had been destroyed, but at a terrible cost. Half of Earth's fleet was gone, and the remaining ships were badly damaged. Earth's surface had taken hits in several places, with thousands of casualties. On the Defiance, Admiral Finley received grim news. Our weapons are at 30% power, shields failing. We can't stop both remaining enemy ships. Finley looked at the damage reports and made a difficult decision. Target all remaining power on the lead ship. Ignore the other one. But sir, that leaves Earth exposed to the second ship, his tactical officer protested. We can only defeat On, Finley said firmly. Better one than none. The Earthships concentrated their fire, finally destroying the fourth alien vessel. But as they did, the last Kraathic ship broke through their defensive line and headed straight for Earth. They're targeting Washington, D.C., someone shouted in the command center. President Winters, who had refused to evacuate, stood calmly. Colonel, Richards, activate the last resort protocol. Richards looked surprised. Are you sure? It hasn't been tested. We have no choice, Winters said. High above Earth, hidden in orbit, a single platform that had been kept in reserve powered up. It contained the most advanced weapon humans had ever built. A concentrated quantum disruptor designed to tear apart matter at the subatomic level. The weapon fired just as the alien ship prepared to launch its attack on Earth's surface. A beam of blinding white energy connected with the Kraathic vessel. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the alien ship simply unraveled, coming apart piece by piece until nothing remained. In the Earth Defense Command Center, people stood in shocked silence. Did we win? Someone finally asked. President Winters looked at the screens showing the now empty space around Earth. For now, but this is just the beginning. The Kraathic serve the architects, and they won't stop with one defeat. She turned to face her advisors. This was never just about defending Earth. It's about freeing all the worlds under Kraathic control. It's about changing the balance of power in our galaxy. Colonel Richards nodded in understanding. What's our next move? President Winters smiled. We take the fight to them. Earth has answered their demand for surrender with fire. Now we'll bring that fire to the stars. The battle was over. Earth had survived, but the war for freedom among the stars had just begun.